Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm discussing 3 films that are in the Criterion Collection that I believe you should see this fall or next fall. And each of these I've given 5 stars on Letterboxd. They're famous, they're great films. I'm going to start with one that Martin Scorsese enjoys with his family from time to time. It has a really good looking cover. In fact, I had seen it once on HBO Max before I got rid of that particular service. And I bought it in the store one day on sale because I love the cover so much. Arsenic and Old Lace. This is a Cary Grant comedy that he didn't really love his own performance in, but I think he's just hilarious in this movie. And I should say, I'm not like a big fan of screwball movies. In fact, usually that's one of my very least favorite genres in general, and I am absolutely a huge fan of this. So Frank Capra directed this, and the plot is something along the lines of a critic is trying to escape the press, and he marries this woman. It's around Halloween, and while she's getting some things packed, he's at a relative's house, and so she's in this other house packing, and he's kind of getting to know the family, and some things surprise him about the family. And the comedy is pitch black. So good. So funny. His expressions, your expression, watching his expression because you have the same expression. It's a lot darker than I would have thought a Capra picture would go. It has some wonderful, what's his name? Oh, the guy from M, Peter Lorre's in it, okay? And I just think that this is the most pure joy that you will ever get out of a screwball movie. There's a guy in the house because he's in there, he's meeting her crazy aunts. There's a guy in the house that thinks he's Theodore Roosevelt. And so he runs up the stairs and charges. And there are these cops, these robbers. It's like the perfect screwball. And it takes advantage of the sort of zany nature of that genre, but in a way that works really well for the time, with the actors. You're just going to love it if you haven't seen it. And like I said, it's a really good-looking set. Cary Grant, folks. Awesome movie. Just a great one. The second movie that I thought of, and this is a very different experience, very, very different experience. Bergman, okay, so it's important to say this correctly. I'm saying that to me, not to you. Ingmar Bergman directed Ingrid Bergman in her final film, alongside Liv Ullmann in Autumn Sonata, and it had a little bit of a mixed critical reaction to my understanding at first. I have no idea why. This is a 5-star, lights out, excellent movie. In the Bergman pack, there's a little piece in the booklet that says Mothers, Daughters, and Monsters. That's where I watched it, was in the booklet. I believe this is usually on the channel as well. And they are a mother-daughter duo. And in the movie, Bergman's character, she is a kind of distant mother who's coming up for a visit because of another matter to do with another relative. And she was this excellent pianist, and the daughter is not as talented. And there's this, and that played by Liv Ullmann, and there's this huge animosity between the two. It's just let me put it this way: if you watch Autumn Sonata, okay, I would suggest being very careful with whom you watch this picture. Let's say you have a brother that you have some tension with, or a spouse, or just anybody in your family. The way that these two get into it in this movie is so true to life, and how family conflicts can unfold, and it's so well acted, and it's so powerful to watch that if you have somebody beside you who you have some tension with, even if they're not a family member, it's going to be awkward, and because the performances are that good. This is my favorite Ingrid Bergman film. I like it even better than some of her other famous ones. And Liv Ullmann, is always just a tremendous actress in these films. One of my favorite actresses, besides maybe Setsuko Hara in the Asajiro Ozu films. So definitely one you should see. The color palette and so forth works well with the time of the year, obviously, in Autumn Sonata. And it's such a good film. I always love sharing on YouTube the 5 stars, the movies that really mean a lot to me, because it's just so easy to just share that level of enthusiasm. So if you haven't taken the time to commit to that, you should. And finally, my favorite, which is obviously an Ozu film. If you follow me, if you don't, well, that's my favorite director. If you like Ozu, you'll probably at least kind of like this channel, because I talk about Ozu all the time. But in Autumn Afternoon, this is his last film, and Shishiryu, there in the lead, is this kind of veteran guy who ends up meeting up with some classmates from a long time ago and a teacher they used to have, and there's some conversations that are had around that time, and then that leads to a gift-giving situation, and there are some sort of melancholic scenes in a bar. There is this issue that he's a widower, and so, like, what do I do with the daughter? It's that kind of family drama that this director's so well known for. And the last few scenes of this movie are some of the most powerful, emotionally touching work that this director's ever done. And I do not say that lightly. This reminded me a little bit like Early Spring, kind of, in some ways, but it's a very different movie also. Inappropriate last film, I would say, for that director. And always one of my favorites. In fact, I can even remember, you know how some movies are so good that you can remember where you were when you were watching them? I can remember where I was in my apartment, in the spot I was, like, where I was sitting in my couch. In my couch, not in my couch, wrong preposition, on my couch. And the absolute, like, quintessential must-watch, Autumn Afternoon. And the fact that it can make, like, industrial architecture and so forth look pretty, office buildings look pretty, like, it's an amazing picture. So I really wanted to share these 3 films because I think they're all so good, and, you know, they're autumn fall titles that I think you'll enjoy. They all have a darkness to them. They all have a dark side to them. I'll probably do some kind of more scary horror movie content, but I wanted to do something that wasn't that for these Criterion movies. So those are the ones that I just immediately thought of. There are some others that you could include in there. What have you seen from the Criterion Collection that you enjoy for the fall season, or any other film that you enjoy for the fall season? Let me know in the comments below, and we will see you next time on Cody in the Cinema.